The most useful LR in the game, but how should you build their hidden potential? How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We're back for another Dokkan battle video. In today's video, we are taking a look at the LR Fizz, Super Saiyan, Goku, Gohan, and Trunks from this year's worldwide download celebration. This is probably one of the most useful LRs in the game. They are doing oh so very much, but the question remains, how do you build their potential? So we're going to take a look at what these guys do and make our recommendation by the end of this video. So let's start with their leader skill. They are an all-out struggles, Super Saiyans, Power of Wishes, category key 3, HP attack and defense 170% with an additional 30 from movie heroes and connected hope. On their 18 key, they are greatly raising their attack and defense for 3 turns, stacking for 3 turns, as well as raising allies attack and defense by 30% for the turn. On their 12 key, they are simply raising their attack and lowering attack and defense. So pretty good there. On their passive, they get key 3, attack and defense 200%. They randomly change key spheres of a certain type to Fizz and gain an additional key 2 per Fizz key sphere obtained. They also get an additional key 1 per type key sphere obtained, and they give all allies key 3 and attack 50%. They reduce damage 30% temporarily when they receive a super attack, and they also have an additional 30% when receiving attack for every 3 key, right? So you really want to push getting those Fizz key spheres to push them all the way to the 24 key because, right, that is for every 3 key, not every 3 key sphere. So it's every 3 key on the key meter, meaning if you get a full 24 key meter, you are raising the defense by 240%. So you do want to make sure you do that. They also get an additional attack 150% when key is 12 or more. They launch 2 additional attacks, each of which has a 50% chance of becoming a super attack when key is 18 or more. They do have effective against all types when your key is 24, and if you have another movie heroes or all-out struggle ally attacking in the same turn, they have an additional damage reduction of 15%, and for 2 turns, they give all allies 77% defense. That's right, you heard me correctly. 2 turns, 77% defense. That means if you're running a double of these guys, 1 on each rotation, you are basically maintaining 154 defense for your characters at all times. That is huge. They do have a standby skill that can stand by for 3 turns, during which you can increase the charge count by 3 with each attack received. So you do want to be pushing them. You do want to put them in front of attacks, but also, right, you can raise it by collecting Fizz key spheres or non-Fizz key spheres, right? And then once you get all of them, you can launch the finish skill. Now, while in standby, you are incentivized to put them in front of attacks because while they cannot attack, they do have key 3 in attack and defense 259% and guaranteed guard. Right, combine that with changing Fizz key spheres and getting an additional 2 key for Fizz, an additional defense 30 for every 3 key if key is 24, and when they receive an attack, they reduce damage received by 59%. Then they get an additional defense 20% per key sphere, and give allies 7% for 2 turns per Fizz key sphere, meaning depending on how many Fizz key spheres you get, you can jack up the defense all 7%, right? So if you got 10 key spheres, that's 70% defense for 2 turns, right? So I mean, really good. There is incentive to transform them, and they get an additional attack 100% when finish skill is active, right? Like, they're one of the easiest finish skills to launch off, one of the quickest due to the fact that it also builds on attack received, and it also builds on, right, key spheres, and 2 at that if it's Fizz key spheres. Now that finish skill does raise attack 15% per charge counts, meaning the higher your charge count is, the stronger it is. 20% if you get the full 41 or more. So you do obviously want to push that. they are just a phenomenal unit. They are doing oh so very much, but you'll notice what there is a severe lack of in their kits, right? If we take a look at a Fizz type, right? As a Fizz type, they have built-in additional attacks. That means at 55%, they have an addition. They have a 5%. They have a 5, which equates to a 10% chance of doing an additional attack. And of course, if you fill that in with your full hidden potential nodes, if you have any dupes in them, you are getting upwards of 40%, up to 50% if you fully invest in additionals, right? But you'll notice they don't have crit. They do have effective against all types when they are in, right, Super Saiyan form here. They get effective against all types when key is 24, which you'll be most likely getting, but they do not have that in standby. So that kind of leads me to the recommendation, right? Where should you put them? Personally, as a unit with a standby that needs crit, right? You never want to have that standby not crit. I do think that critical hit is the way to go for them. If you have the dupes in them, give them the critical hit so they can take advantage of that in the standby. It is worthy of note that they do have many allies on their team that do give them critical hits, so as long as you're running them that way, then you know, it may not be such an issue, but it is worthy of note that, you know, they don't really have a way to get crit in standby unless they're having that, or unless they have the hidden potential to do so. So I do want to throw that out there, that I do think if your focus with them is their standby, then you do want to prioritize that critical hit. Otherwise, prioritize additional attacks for they're effective against all types while in base form, right? It'll just help you deal a little more damage. I could also see going dodge, although with the amount of defense that they're getting in standby and, you know, their relative defense and the support that they're giving in their base form, dodge isn't all that necessary for them, but, you know, every once in a while it could be nice to dodge that chance for super. So crit should be the priority, followed by additional attack and evasion, right? With crit fully invested, you have a 40% chance of dealing a critical hit as a Fizz type, and then you would have 22% additional attack minimum, right? That's not including any skill orb investment, or 11% evasion, not including any skill orb investment. So either one of those I think do work well, but again, I do think since they don't have any built-in crit, you do want to probably utilize them. It is worth noting that they do give the application of the 77% defense would apply to them while in standby. So right, that standby is getting all of that extra defense plus this, right, if you're running 2 of these guys. So it is worth noting that. So that's pretty much it, guys. If you liked the video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and in the comments down below, let us know, how would you build your LR Fizz trio? Like I said, I would personally lean into crit to take advantage of that standby, but I understand the argument for dodge and additional attack, so I'm kind of curious what you guys would go with in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and aloha.